Hi, guys. So I'm really excited about today's episode. We have a couple of teenagers with us. Lauren and I have been talking about meditation and teenagers for a while. And today we have my daughter, Shiza, and her best friend, Amelia, both 17-year-olds, um, high school seniors. And we're going to have some question answers with them. We're going to figure out what are the challenges that teenagers are experiencing in this time. Their world is so different than our world when we were growing up. Their challenges are different. The level of competition for them is completely different. The world has opened up to them in a way that it never was to us. And of course, with that comes a lot of stress and a lot of management of different aspects and issues. So we have our lovely Dr. Lauren Roche here, and there's Shiza. Hi, Shiz.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Amelia.
Hi.
All right,
Hi,
so
Amelia.
let's start. All right. Um, Lauren, do you want to share any thoughts that you have about teenagers presently, or should we just dive into their questions?
No, let's just dive into the questions.
All right. Well, we kind of had a starting point where just like a basis thing, teenagers, normally kind of awkward. And one thing that we were talking about is that when it comes to meditation, although we can recognize that it's like, obviously a very helpful thing, and a lot of people turn to it for, assistance dealing with like problems generally. A lot of teenagers can feel just really like awkward about it and like silly, like meditating because, like you're sitting in a room alone and you're just like breathing, and it feels kind of weird.
Well, a classic way is to listen to music, like put on have a playlist, and there is no such thing as meditation music. All music is meditation music. All music, it's whatever you want to hear. And so put on music and rock out, and then turn down the volume and continue to tune into yourself and enjoy the music, and then turn down the volume even more. So no one from outside can know whether you're listening to music or meditating. Like maybe even don't even tell people that you're meditating. And awkward feelings are to be welcomed because those are sensations and emotions, and they're transitions. And we all have to get used to transition. So if you've ever wanted to go swimming and there's a pool, and if it's a hot day, but the pool's a little bit cool, and you put your foot in, it's ow, it's cold. That's a transition. And you should expect there to be awkwardness, and you welcome it. And just like when you go into a pool and it's cool, there's that shock initially, and then you start to really like it. It's the same thing with what we call meditation. You're entering your own body zone. You're entering the world of your background sensations and emotions. And there's going to be a lot of weird little sensations there that are like when you walk outside on a cold day and the air hits your skin and you, cold. At first it hurts, and then you get goosebumps. But if you're having a good time, you start to enjoy that contact with nature. And by doing so, by welcoming the uncomfortable feelings, studying them, learning your way through it, you'll undo a lot of future damage. Because the reason why people drink alcohol, smoke pot, get addicted to pills, all these problems that can destroy your life, is because of little teeny uncomfortable feelings that they didn't learn how to handle. So you're actually doing something significant when you go inside and just breathe with the feeling, because they'll actually change second by second. The brain works really fast. Think of meditation as like tuning in and having a moment of total pleasure to music. And the only thing I'd recommend is like put your phone on airplane and just go in and just give 20 minutes to being with music that you love totally. Just give yourself totally as if you're at a concert. So always feel free to move. Also be free to sit still if you want. Welcome every thought and every feeling. And what happens the basic rhythm of meditation is that you get comfortable and you start to feel safe. And then the stuff that scares you comes to the surface to be healed. It's that meditation is a healing space. So the things that are bothering you, they come up to be felt and faced. And that's a lot of the discomfort. And for a teenager, there's a lot of stuff to feel uncomfortable about. And because your body is transitioning to being a full-on adult. The basic practice of meditation is being your own best friend. It's exactly like if you had like a lifetime great friend where you get together and she just goes, just tell me everything. And just go, I hate my teacher and I hate my boyfriend and I'm afraid of this and I really like that. And that other thing scares me and I'm so excited about this other thing. And then you know that your best friend would never betray you. They love you for who you are. They welcome you, and then you both talk story like that, and then you just feel better. You feel like unburdened. You feel accepted. The hardest skill in meditation, and the thing that there's no escape from in life, is learning to do that to yourself, learning to be your own best friend.
I especially like that thing about, I feel like this is a word that comes up so much when you're around teenagers. I'm so awkward, or that was awkward, or being around this situation is awkward. I like what Lauren says, that feeling awkward is fine. It's perfectly natural. It's like dipping your toes into the pool when it's cool.
Awkwardness can turn into just natural exhilaration, just like happiness, excitement, thrill. Being scared can turn very quickly into being just excited and having fun.
Amelia, did you have a question on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, how would you so you talk about sort of transitioning nerves into sort of an excitement. How exactly would you do that?
You actually put your attention into the feeling and with curiosity, like with the same kind of attention that you watch a movie that you're enjoying. Like what is going on here? What's going on? And you even ask it to amplify. Okay, come out. What is going on here? And as you do that, the whole situation changes. For example, say that you're excited and you have this feeling of excitement in your body about whatever it is, going and hanging out with that friend, somebody that you really like, and you're just like, you're scared about it. If you have a time that you call meditation where you're attending to yourself, you can, what is that sensation? Where is it in my body? You'll feel sensations potentially everywhere in your body, your belly, lower, in your chest, in your shoulders, in your neck. Notice where the tension is. And as you pay attention, and it's not an accident that the word attention and tension are related. As you pay attention, you give that energy, which might be stuck somewhere in your belly or your chest, you give it permission to flow. When the energy's flowing, it starts to be fun.
Yeah. Would you say that it's kind of like a practice makes perfect thing? Because another thing that I think a lot of teenagers experience is in school when we have to do presentations and or even just doing a test. Obviously, there's a lot of nerves that come with that because it feels like a very big assessment of who you are when obviously it's not, but it feels much worse than it is. So calming nerves and turning them into excitement, just would you say that the best thing to do is just practice doing that a lot?
Yes.
With meditation?
Yes. And we call it meditation. We have this word now of meditation, but before, in the 60s, there were athletic coaches and they called it relaxation and different terms, where there's a thing that people that want to be successful do. And it's called rehearsal. So the basic principle is you relax in some way. Say if you're an athlete, you're hanging out with your coach and they'll say, okay, lie down and then let's just enjoy your breathing. And now visualize your routine. Maybe it's your gymnastic routine like they do in the Olympics, or tennis, or it's swimming. Lie down and let your muscles be relaxed, and then visualize your performance. Even shooting baskets, even do this with visualize shooting baskets through a hoop. And it's measurable that this improves performance. So when we say meditation, it includes that spontaneous activity where, say you have 15 minutes to meditate in the morning before school, you'll be rehearsing and choreographing the things you'd have to do that day and infusing them with some relaxation. And if you do this, you'll find that when you're there in front of the class giving your presentation, that you're less nervous and more excited. And it's the same energy. Nervousness and excitement are the same energy. There's just less fear. So in meditation, in a sense, we willingly suffer. We say, okay, come on, fear, come on, anxiety, what's bugging me? We permeate it with relaxation. When we let that fear sort of be filtered out, it's kind of like cleaning a window or cleaning the kitchen or cleaning your closet. It feels like work. You're gently cleaning the fear out of your body. You do that for 15 minutes and you'll notice that all day, there's just a little bit less fear. You're more tuned to be you, and to function well as you. And so it's worth it, that 15 minutes. It gives you back more than 15 minutes.
So our final question is kind of relevant to sort of today's climate. And right now, social media has become very heavy with sort of the Black Lives Matter movement. And it's a very important thing to be aware of, and it's very important to sort of keep track of on social media. But it can be really hard and very heavy to sort of take in. And so how can you kind of turn that, is there any way to turn that heaviness into sort of something a little bit more positive so that it's not so hard to keep up with this movement and help in the cause?
And also just generally like turning, negative emotions and like feeling sad into action, because obviously this is something that like Amelia and I definitely really believe is a very important movement right now. And it kind of sucks to feel like you can't like do anything because it emotionally affects you too much.
Yes, it's very challenging for everybody. And it's the same thing as it's always gone in life. There was a Canadian philosopher named Marshall McLuhan, and back in the 50s, he said the world, because of electronic media, the world moving towards a global village. So what's happening is that even though there's almost 8 billion people on the earth all over the whole world, in a certain way, because of the media, our brains are being impacted as if we're all in a little village of 150 people. So the way human beings lived for all of time until very recently was that you lived in a hut in a little village, and maybe there were 20 huts, and then in your little area there's maybe about 150 people, period. And that's all the people that you ever met. Maybe once every few years there might be somebody coming by that was from somewhere else. What's happening now is that instead of 150 people, you have potentially anything that happens to any one of 7.8 billion people. And so any one thing can be in your face. Our phones are in our pockets, on our bodies. So anything that happens to anyone anywhere in the world can be as if it's happening next door. And so that's a huge challenge for all of humanity. One person sneezes in China and the whole world, 1 million people die over the next year. One person is murdered in the United States and all over the world, people are rioting. So this is a challenge for every single person, every one of us. And you can expect that part of your meditation time is just going to be feeling the hurt and the confusion, maybe some guilt, rage, worry, depression with almost 8 billion people. This is a challenge for the whole human race. It's a crisis. So what you can think of as meditation is just welcome the feeling, be with it, breathe with it. Give time to it, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then look at what you can do right now today. Because often the answer is, I'm going to clean up the kitchen or pick the right clothes to wear. I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to go live. Because it's important for you to go live and be yourself and be happy. That's what you can do as a gift to the world, to develop as a human being.
I think this is a huge teaching, Lauren, because we've often talked about this in our videos, that we were never taught in school to sit, accept, acknowledge, embrace. Every feeling is legit. Every feeling, everything that you are experiencing should be honored. And I'm noticing with kids, it's the same pattern, it's the same routine. We're all supposed to be a Prozac nation. Everybody's supposed to be happy at all times. We're supposed to be on top of our game. And this is what's fed through media, through television. And so these kids are in that same place that we were in when I was certainly in when I was a child. But I'm supposed to always be on the upbeat. I'm supposed to be out there helping. Something's happened, I should be acting. But the truth is there's so much going on inside of you, including the fact that you are a teenager, including the fact that there's a whole developmental side to your life at this point as well, that to take that moment and step back and say, all right, let me just acknowledge, let me just really be honest and feel into what I'm feeling. And whether you do that with your music, and I know these girls, they love music, kids today are into all kinds of, like we were, all kinds of fabulous music, and they can spend hours in, diving into it, giving that healing and that space to your own heart. Because once you're in a more solid space and in a more comfortable space, the way you engage with others, the way you talk about these things in school or in debates or the presentations that you give will come from a more calmer, balanced, and more informed place. As opposed to the other thing, which is, let me just not pay attention to what I'm experiencing, and this complete influx of information at all times from social media that I'm absorbing. A lot of it is also garbage, misinformation as well. There's no way to verify if all the videos we're seeing are authentic. So there's no way to filter, and yet this information keeps coming in. So we need to maybe, put the phone on airplane mode for a little bit and just take a moment and just feel into what you're feeling and give yourself that space. And I think this is as relevant to adults as it is to young adults.
You'd say like introspection is probably the most important thing, like the first step, and just making sure that you're okay before you make sure others are okay.
I think giving yourself time to process, a few minutes where you have pleasure, as much pleasure as possible, soothing, safety, and freedom to feel. So you're giving yourself freedom to feel. And nervous systems are good at processing data. We're actually, all of us, in every second, we're processing about 11 million bits of data. Most of it is visual, the visual world that our brain creates. Because what you see is actually a creation of your brain. The eyes take in light, but it's the brain that creates the universe that you're perceiving. The brain is an awesome writer, director, world of actors, performing, videographer, filming, and then witnessing. The brain's doing all of that in every second. What's happening now is that the predators are coming at you this way. This is a gateway to the world. And much of the information that you're getting is predatory. And it can be fairly innocent. Like the companies, if they keep you looking at your phone for a couple seconds more, they make money. It might only be 1,000th of a penny, but they make money by getting you just to stay an extra couple seconds. And then if you forward a message to somebody, they get to track your network. There's computers that have a complete track of your network and what you're forwarding. So it's predation through information. So we're all being hunted by corporations and manipulated. And they actually know to what extent they can make you afraid and make you outraged or make you guilty in order to manipulate your behavior in very sophisticated ways. So you want to give yourself a chance to sort out, like, who's manipulating me? Who's trying to push that button so that I feel afraid or feel outraged or feel guilty? And over time, you learn to discern what these con games are.
I feel like it's hard enough for us as adults because the advent of the internet is a fairly new concept in our world. So we're already managing this, and the children with the more impressionable minds and less life skills and tools at this point are really up against. They have a greater challenge in a sense.
I started teaching teenagers how to meditate in 1971. I used to go into junior high schools and high schools. The teenagers, in my experience, are right. They're just, there's a fundamental, they're right about what they feel. But learning to be effective is a whole other thing. So in order to figure out how to protest effectively, we have to like rack our brains, team up, and be really smart. And no one has really figured that out. That's a challenge that we all have to figure out.
Do you think there's a possibility that there's no perfect way to protest?
Yeah, we still have to do what we can. But the sense is that enough young people aren't voting, that there's just this, if you just get a few more 20-something women to vote, you could influence the whole country. So you guys just treat yourself well, learn to be a relaxed warrior, very zen, where you're inwardly poised, you've learned to feel the fear and release it, and then go forth into the world and be effective. There's these 6 questions, let's roll through them. So how do you forgive yourself for past mistakes? So I know this sounds crazy, but one of the functions of meditation is to get relaxed. And then what'll happen is that a mistake that you made long ago that you've forgotten about might come up and you go, oh my God, you remember it and the feeling washes through you. And then it's gone. Maybe not instantly. Sometimes it's almost instant. You let the feeling hit you and it's healed, because you're not afraid of it anymore. Sometimes it'll come again and again, and it gradually gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So that's one of the functions of meditation, is forgiving yourself for past mistakes. And it's exactly the thing we were talking about a minute ago, is learning to be your own best friend. How do you stop comparing yourself to others? How do you get to that point? Well, teenagers of all people in the world are always comparing themselves to others. Like when I was a teenager, when I was like 15, I was just incredibly shy. I was an ocean person. I just wanted to be alone surfing. I didn't want to be around anybody. I was completely loner. I'd never talked to anybody. I wound up going to a concert by this guy, Harry Belafonte. He moved like nobody I'd ever seen except for surfers. Here's this tall, gorgeous black man owning the stage, moving, dancing, and singing these gusty songs about this girl that he missed back in Jamaica, or getting drunk or whatever. And he was just magnificent. And I was sitting there in watching him perform. And then I sort of fell into a trance, and I saw somebody sitting a couple rows in front of me, like a guy wearing a suit, like completely together. It was me. It was like me, but in 2 years, like I had a vision. And then I forgot about it. But I went to work, and I became, to my surprise and amazement, just a couple years later, maybe 3 years later, I was that guy. And so in this thing of we're comparing ourselves to somebody else, the question is, what quality is that person embodying that I could embody? And maybe I need years of practice. So this thing of comparing, it can be torture, like feeling where we're criticizing ourselves, but we can turn it around into working on ourselves. And that's the big challenge for everybody. Don't expect it to be easy, but you don't have to fight the process. So how do I choose what I want to be when I'm older? I don't know what to major in. You don't have to know. The most important thing is, if you're going to be in school, is learn how to study and learn how to learn. Because the way the world seems to be is you'll have to reinvent yourself again and again and again. So the most important thing is learn how to sleep, so that you sleep really deeply. Learn how to wake up gradually so that you enjoy the process of awakening, which if you've gotten enough sleep, you'll enjoy waking up. Learn how to meditate in a way that's effective for you so that you can relax deeply and have a chance to learn from your past mistakes and rehearse to be better. And then learn how to study. You want to learn how to learn. Like, for example, people who've studied how do we learn say that you should set a timer and study for 45 to 50 minutes, and then do anything for 10 minutes. Go dance, go take a shower, go play, go eat. You could play a video game. You could call a friend. Do anything for 10 or 15 minutes, and then come right back and hit it for another 45 minutes. Like, that's a known thing. So train yourself how to study. Now, another aspect is learning what your biorhythm is. Like, what are my most effective study hours? And so this is a skill or series of skills that will last you your whole life, and is more important than the actual content that you're learning. Learning how to be relaxed under pressure. Like, one of the things about meditation that is the greatest skill ever is that every day when you're meditating, even if it's only for 15 minutes, you're actually training yourself to be calm in a crisis when everybody else is losing their head. And that there's life is one series of crises after another, whether it's like reading your paper in front of class, or you're on a sports team, and you have to serve or return, or taking a test. Life is one series of crises after the other. And meditation gives you such an edge that it's almost like cheating. So learning how to treat your body well, how to stay relaxed, so relaxed that when there's a crisis, it feels like fun. It's like a surge. It's a surge of excitement. Oh, this is fun. Like when you're playing a game and you jump in like, yeah, let's solve this. That's one of the great life skills. And it's hidden, or it's inside of what we call meditation. It's relaxing into the crisis so that you're giving your nervous system a chance to adjust the dial very precisely, how much relaxation, how much tension is needed. It's really one of the great life skills that'll last you no matter what you do. So how do I know that I'm prioritizing the right thing? Well, this is another thing that goes on in meditation that's not talked about. for real people, like adults who are really good at meditating, what they know is that maybe half of their meditation time is just prioritizing. Like there's a to-do list. Like for people that have relationships, a home, school, ambitions, dreams, when they're meditating, there's like maybe 1/3 pure relaxation and 1/3 or half of just sorting through to-do lists. And it's perfect because in meditation, you have some relaxation, your muscles are relaxed, you're safe, and your mind can do this prioritizing. Really successful people who are happy meditating and are effective in their life, they welcome the prioritizing. And it hurts. Prioritizing hurts because there's always each item on your to-do list has a certain anxiety, a buzz to it, electricity. It's like fear, anxiety, electricity, yearning. And those are exactly the emotions that you want to learn to sort. And only you can do it. So the attitude, again, is like, bring it on. Because if you were with your best friend, you just go, oh God, I don't know whether to train myself for medical school or whether to be a pilot or whether to go into banking. And then if so, you work backwards. You just cheerfully talk about it all. And then after a while, you'd share your stories and just go, okay, let's go party. The same thing with meditation. You're learning to be your own best friend. So if you're a teenager, just realize that you're right. Like all those feelings and all those energies, that's life. And no one has it figured out. You're going to have to figure out new solutions to the classical problems. And you're needed. Who you are, your life energy, all your feelings are needed. So learn how to be with who you are. Learn how to express who you are.
This is such a great training. This is such a great line of questioning, great answers. Lauren, as always, so helpful. I think we need to have more of these teenage meditation sessions.
I was 18 when I learned to meditate, and it changed everything. It was like, oh my God, I'm in a different world now because I can spend a few minutes in the morning and be as if I've just come back from vacation.
Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Lovely session. More to come.